Joe is a gentleman in the true sense of the word. He is gentle, he is kind, he is refined. So I think of the word gentleman.
Joe's tough. If you've never sat down to ask Joe for some money for something, it's not a given. And he's going to ask you the hardest questions. He's going to make you work for it. And when you feel like you've answered the question, he's going to ask you an even harder question. And because he's given it from his heart and he already knows what he wants to do.
He's a very funny guy. He's got a tremendous sense of humor. At the same time, he'll come around and zing and make his point.
When I think about Joe, I think about courage and compassion. Joe and I worked together in the early to mid-90s when we were dealing with an AIDS epidemic. And he was able to step out and support Triad Health Project, as well as the first hospice inpatient residence. And this was an AIDS priority focus. That was very courageous in that time.
Joe is a very loyal person, and he has been a consistent friend and a steady supporter for many nonprofits like Eastern Music Festival, Guilford College, Hospice and Palliative Care, Triad Health Project, and many others. And Joe steps in and helps when he's needed.
I know Joe does everything from his heart, and he does it not because he thinks he has to do it. He does it because he knows it's the right thing to do. And so when you see Joe's name or know that Joe has supported all these different causes, it's because it's the right thing to do. And he's doing it because he feels it's the right thing from his heart. And I think that's what makes Joe an extraordinary person. He's extremely genuine.
He has ideas, vision. I know that one of the projects we worked on was a healing garden for the Cone Health Cancer Center. And he could see it. I think he could see it before we did.
Back in 2014, when we went to him about the healing gardens, about developing that idea at the Cone Health Cancer Center, we didn't have a fancy PowerPoint. We didn't have a beautiful drawing. We had ideas, we had passion, and Joe Bryan got it. He really understood that nature promotes healing, and he really understood that there was a neglected 2 acres of ugly land right next to the cancer center that could be made into something beautiful for patients and families. And he supported us.
Joe knows the best way that any philanthropist, regardless of their means, can have the biggest impact is in their local community.
He loves Greensboro and he gives back to Greensboro. And I think everywhere you look in Greensboro, you can see his hand and the hands of his family, and what a difference they have made to our community.
There's no other way to put it. This is home. This is where his family's from. And he's committed to a lot of different and diverse group of charities over the years, right here in our home community.
Joe's early involvement with the project that he and I worked on together with Beacon Place demonstrated extraordinary compassion for an underserved population at that particular point in time that others were shunning, quite frankly.
He makes things happen. He is a mover and a shaker.
You know that what he's doing is genuine and he's not putting on any show for anybody. He is Joe Bryan, and he's an awesome person.
He also likes chocolate. That's about all I can tell you.
Good evening, everyone. It's a joy to be here, as well as it's a joy to be with Mary Lou Blakeney, who is also honored tonight to receive the Citation Award from NCCJ. Let me speak a little bit about my involvement in the world of the nonprofit and the giving. At first, when I was starting out, I was involved with trying to raise money for various nonprofit organizations. And during that time, I realized that I could also be in the other side of giving away money. And I promise you, it's harder to give it away than it is to raise. And in that process, I began to run the Family Foundation. And that was quite an operation. And it was a great joy, and I learned a lot from it. And continuing from that, after the dissolution of that foundation in the year of 2000, I started my own foundation. And since then, I have tried to do as much as I can privately and not letting anyone know what I've been doing. But the greatest thing I can say that really happened was the Bryan series, which was underwritten with an endowment I gave to Guilford College. And I hope people in this community will partake of these interesting people who come to this city. And prior to coming to this city, they speak to the students at Guilford College, in which these kids really, really enjoy this, and this is an opportunity that will never happen to them again. Let me thank everyone again for this great honor that you have bestowed upon me. In closing, I'd like to make a comment that Donald Southern made on 60 Minutes, in which he was being awarded an Oscar for his lifetime achievement in the motion picture industry. And in that, he made a quote that Jack Benny had made during a similar situation several years before. And by the way, in case you people don't know who Jack Benny is, just pull out your iPhone and you'll find out. And this was the quote he made. He said, I really don't deserve this honor, but he turned around and he said, but you know what? I've got a pain in my back and it's called arthritis, and I certainly don't deserve that. Thank you and good night.